It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Athletes Unlimited softball player, Taran Alvelo. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to become a professional softball player?
I think for me, just growing up and seeing college players and seeing, the Olympic teams and knowing that where I grew up in Ohio, I had the opportunity to go and watch the Akron Racers play, who were, pivotal in the startup of the NPF. And I always knew that I wanted to be there. At one point, I was like, oh, I want to play for the Akron Racers. And then they kind of turned into the Cleveland Comets. And then when it came into my rookie year, I was drafted by the Aussie Peppers and then traded. So it was kind of like a surreal moment, for me. It was like, okay, this is something that I've always wanted to do and help grow the game, because the NPF at that time, and now even this professional softball world in general, we get the question a lot like, oh, I didn't even know there was a pro softball team. That's cool. Who do you play for? So it's sad because we built our game so much, and looking as like a younger kid back, I was like, oh, I can't wait to play pro. I'm going to be, it's going to be awesome. I want to do that. It's a dream. And then now that I'm here, I feel like we're still in a lot of like the groundwork of like trying to get this thing going for the kids that are, watching us now. And I think that's the best part about playing pro right now in this time period, is we're helping completely reinvent our game for the future to come. And it's amazing.
What was your time like playing college softball for Washington Huskies?
I loved it. Best 4 years of my life. Hardest 4 years for sure. But getting to play alongside some of the most amazing people, and it, from the top down, everything we had was just, it was great from day one. And I would go back in a heartbeat.
Of course, what were some of your accomplishments, and what was it like putting on the Washington Huskies purple jersey?
I think for us, Coach Tar really instilled in us that it's not really about personal victories, but how we play for one another, and we're side by side in everything we do. So, being an All-American was amazing, but that it did not come just from me. It came from my team. I would have not been able to be nominated for that if, I didn't have the girls next to me that I did. And then making it to the World Series multiple years in a row truly shows how amazing it is to, when you have chemistry and you have, girls that love to genuinely fight for each other, it's pretty amazing the things that you can do.
Of course, what was it like whenever you found out that you were beside the record book with obviously Danielle, who is a former player from Washington?
That was a kind of another dream come true. She has ridiculous numbers, and the numbers that she put up in her time it's going to be a long time until someone touches those. And just to know that I'm even in the same book as her is an honor.
Of course, did you look up to her during your time playing?
I did, and I did as well before I even got there. She was a big reason why I loved Washington. I watched her in the 2009 Women's College World Series. Watch her, help bring home a championship for UW, and that was like, I was like, okay, that's where I want to go. I want to be her when I grow up.
Of course, what was it like whenever you got to the College World Series in 2019 to bring home that championship?
So in 2019 was, the year after we had made it to the championship series. So we had lost to Florida State in 2018. And the feeling of, it being my senior year and being like, okay, we need to just go all out and we need to play. And the feeling of being at the World Series, we had just came off of a Pac12 Championship. So we were we were feeling the high. It was a surreal feeling. And then the World Series obviously didn't end how we hoped. We made a great run, but just being there all 3 years, it went so fast, and it was such a whirlwind that it didn't really sink in really until I graduated and I was done. And almost a year later that I looked back and I was, man, all the things that we got to do are what little girls dream of all the time. And it went so fast that you almost don't get to appreciate it in the moment. And so I guess that's just like my biggest thing. I wish I could go back and just relive those moments just a little bit longer so I could just soak it all in.
What was that like, of course, being in the College World Series at the top of the college stadium stage, as obviously you might not have realized that you had a professional career afterwards?
That's not even describable. The feeling that you have. I remember specifically we were playing Oklahoma State. We were in the elimination game. It was a late game. We had already played Minnesota that day. And so, this being my senior year, we went back to the hotel before our second game, and we kind of, switched uniforms, got to have a minute to ourselves. And I just remember I just sat there and I looked myself in the mirror and I was like, you're not done today. And that moment specifically was the time that I think I truly felt the most powerful that I had felt in my career. And it was just purely the love of like my team and not wanting to be done and not wanting to not play with them, because at that point I had known at that point that I was going to keep playing pro, but I knew I would never play with some of these girls again. And so that's what just truly kept me going.
What was that feeling like of putting on your College World Series jersey the day that you won the championship?
Which champion? The Pac12 Championship?
Mm-hmm.
It was senior weekend. So when we won the Pac-12, we didn't really know because we don't play a tournament. So it was just kind of based on wins. And so it was senior weekend. We had done the senior walk, everything about that weekend was just already emotional. And then hearing the news that we, were sharing the title and that we had, technically won the Pac-12, it was just kind of like the icing on the cake up until that point. It was just something that we had all worked so hard to try to achieve. And it sucks that we couldn't win it outright, but we're going to take anything we can get. And so it was amazing.
Of course, coming off of your college career, what was it like getting drafted into, obviously, the Triple S Pride?
I loved it. It was exciting, and it was new, and it was kind of scary. I was going to be living in Florida for the summer, and I was also playing with the Puerto Rican national team that summer too. So I knew I was going to be bouncing back, back and forth the whole summer. And it was, a chance to qualify for the Olympics. And I had a lot on my plate that summer. So I was probably a little bit more stressed out than I was excited. But then now looking back, it was some of the best memories.
What was it like for you playing on the Puerto Rico national team?
I love it. Playing for something so much bigger than, even just a school. Representing college, whatever college you go to is amazing. But to represent a whole country and people who just adore you for just representing them, there's no better feeling than the feeling of pride you have playing for your country.
What was that feeling like of putting on the Puerto Rico jersey and obviously representing the country of Puerto Rico?
It's bigger than yourself.
What was it like representing, of course, Puerto Rico and representing them and wearing their jersey?
The feeling of putting on a jersey that you get to look down, get to see the letters across your chest that represent, tradition and a country that is full of love. It makes you emotional to think about that there are people and there are players and there are little girls that would just die to put this uniform on. And knowing I'm just one of the few that get to do that, I think that's where it fills my pride, is knowing that I get to represent these little girls and their families and help give them something to hopefully work for towards one day.
Of course, with playing with Puerto Rico, did you ever go to the Olympics?
I did not know. We did not qualify in the summer of 2019, leading up to it. So, but I am going to keep playing for Puerto Rico in hopes that, in the long 8 years, we can make it there.
What was it like whenever you got to put on the Triple S jersey?
It was fun. It was new. So it was more so, I think, I didn't know what to expect. You had gone from playing for me, I had gone from playing college and playing for Puerto Rico. And then now in some ways in the NPF, it's kind of like I'm still representing a team, but I'm also representing myself a little bit more. And it was a different dynamic because my entire game is feeding off of the culture and the history of whatever team I'm playing for. And so I really had to dive in deep, and with my connections with my teammates, I had to, try to just figure out where I fit and with the pride. And my first year, my rookie year, it was great. We were Coles Cup champs. It was definitely a great rookie year.
What was it like playing for the Chicago Bandits?
So since I didn't technically get to play for them, the short little time that I was signed with them before COVID hit was super exciting. So I played travel ball for the Beverly Bandits, which are here based out of Chicago. We use the same facilities. We practiced in the same dome. And it was an awesome kind of like coming home feeling for me. Growing up, when I watched the Akron Racers or the Chicago Bandits play, I mean, they were both huge inspirations to my childhood self. And so it was just a very comforting feeling coming back home to play. And I actually, I would have gotten to play with some of my old Beverly Bandit teammates. And so that would have been amazing as well. But now we're here still in Rosemont, playing out of the same facilities, but now we're here with AU.
Speaking about, of course, AU, what was it like when you signed your contract with AU to play softball with them?
It was exciting. So last year I was one of the first few, probably the top 20 to sign with them season 1. And I had a knee injury that kind of took me out of playing last season and took me a year to kind of get back into it. And now I'm here and I'm able to be a part of season 2. And I was definitely more excited this year because I got to follow along last year and see how amazing it was and how much fun they had. And now that I'm actually here, there has been no experience in my life like this. The girls and the way they take care of us here, it is amazing, the things that they're doing for us, and definitely showing us what it's like to be a true professional athlete. And I think as women, that is huge for us. We're starting to see those barriers be broken and obstacles kind of moving out of our way as female athletes. And so it's nice to be on the ground floor of all of this.
Of course, coming off of your injury from year 1, what was it like coming into year 2, coming off of your injury, knowing that you're kind of a little behind, but you still want to obviously make sure that you are there and you're doing the best you can?
Right. So that I was actually extremely nervous and kind of just anxious to get this season going. When I was training and trying to get back into it, and I was in an area where I didn't have a lot of opportunity to throw live to batters. I could throw and I had someone to catch me, but unseen batters was the hard part. So I had to really dig deep and just try to make my bullpens as realistic as possible. And then when I got here, we were obviously allowed to have practice time. And then before everything kind of started, and then we scrimmaged. So those scrimmage days were huge for me because that was essentially my first time facing competitively since 2019, pre-COVID. So it was definitely, I had a really bad outing in maybe my first game. I think it was one of my first or second games live. Like I gave up a couple home runs, and it took me some time to figure out my groove. And this last week, it was a lot better. So going into week 4 and 5, I'm, super excited to get going.
What is it like, of course, putting on the AU jersey? And of course, do you switch teams each week, or are you one of those team captains that don't switch teams?
No, so everyone switches, even if you are captain, unless you maintain like high points. It's all based on individual points, team wins. And so we go into a draft every Tuesday. And during that draft is when, we have had a couple captains, but we've also had some new captains. And you definitely get a completely different atmosphere. Each week you are with different group of girls, and it is so cool how we're doing it. And it's definitely breaking down those walls of being uncomfortable and trying to figure out, like, I think for me especially, I'm real big on team chemistry. So it's like, wow, how am I gonna have this team chemistry with girls when I'm on a different team every week? But the things that we are doing outside of playing is creating that team chemistry without all of us being on the same team. You're connected with one another. We're doing a lot of just self-empowerment and really digging deep into who we are as people. And that itself is building our chemistry. So it's allowing for everyone to play at their best ability.
What was that like, of course, coming into it, knowing that obviously in college you had a whole team and you stuck with that team, and even when you were first in the professionals, you probably still had one whole team, and now with AU, you're switching teams each week?
Yeah, I mean, it tests you as an athlete mentally and physically. I mean, it is a grind being here. It's just nonstop for the time that we're here. But I think for us, we all know each other really well. So it doesn't really make it kind of feels like we're all one big team. Obviously, the competitiveness in us is like, okay, oh, I'm team, orange this week, and you may be team blue. I know we're best friends, or we were on the same team last week, but I'm still going to go right at you. And I think that's what's really cool. And it shows us as competitors, it's like, you may have your best friend in the box against you when I'm pitching. I live with Sis Bates here, and she's one of my best friends, and we played college together. But it's like, this week we're on different teams and we're going to go right at each other. And I think that's how, we are professionals in that reason. And it's amazing to truly shows us our true character as athletes.
What was it like the first time you got to put on the Athletes Unlimited jersey and switch colors from blue to purple to orange?
It's different. You definitely kind of get in your groove. So I was in blue the last couple of weeks, and I've kind of been in between blue and purple. And this week it was my first week on orange. So it's a cool, exciting new just thing that you get to do. And we do fun little things with it. We get to dress up a little bit. Practices are fun based around our theme. And each week we have a different team name. You definitely buy into whatever your theme is that week, and it's really fun.
What is a typical game day like for you?
It depends on what game schedule we have. So if you're morning game, you might be a little bit earlier in your day. We do play later in the evening, so you still have your morning to get up. We can go do your workouts if you want. If you want to go and get extra treatment, it's really up to each individual. Us as professional athletes, we are very in tune with our body, and we know what we need, what amount of whatever it is that we need, so we can perform at our best. And so we kind of have that, it's really relaxed in the mornings. And then as game times we get there, we have our meals, and then we just, we go into our normal warm-up routine. And I think that is the best part, is just knowing that it's still structured while also allowing you to be your own individual. And I think that is huge for us, so we can have the comfortable feeling of just, okay, I just need an extra hour of, reps today, or, hey, I'm going to stay after and throw 20 minutes more of my, this pitch in a bullpen, and it's completely okay. Or you can be like, hey, I want to throw 10 pitches and I feel great today. I feel loose. I'm going to call it a day. So I think that's the freedom that we have here, and which is truly amazing.
What are some of your game day routines and rituals that you have to do per game?
So here I've kind of fallen into a little bit of the same role that I did even in college. So I come in, I do my treatment, I do all of that. But then, so Sis and I have played together for so long now that we do each other's like hair bubbles and eye black. So at Washington, our eye black is a pretty big deal for us. It's kind of our tradition and it's sacred, I guess you could say, to a certain extent. And I've had the honor of filling Coach Tar's role of the eye black person. So I get to do the eye black for Sis and for a couple of the other girls. And I actually just the other day was like super emotional about it. I was doing Sis's eye black and I was like, this is something that's really cool. Because we spent 4 years having that special moment with Coach Tar of where before the games, when it's kind of hectic, we're going to have a moment to just sit and put eye black on and get our minds right for the game. And I get to share that with Sis here now. And so it's kind of full circle for me. I've always, I was a year older than Sis. So it's nice to just still fill that role.
Of course, what is it like having, of course, Danielle be the commentator for some of your games, especially since she is a former Washington alum?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a lot of dogs here. So just like outside of Danielle and Sis, we have Vic Hayward and Ali Aguilar and Courtney Gano. And so it's kind of like this little posse that we've like here, and it's amazing. And Danielle being right in the mix is just true dog fashion, right? You can't get rid of us. Danielle is someone who I truly look up to, and the way she plays her game, but how fiercely she plays it is probably where she's more so my inspiration. She's amazing. She's talented, but just how much she loves the game and her people is where I aspire to be like. And hearing her, like when I watch playbacks of games or whatever, and hearing her just talk about her knowledge of the game, it's an amazing thing.
Of course, what advice would you give college softball players looking to play college softball and then move on to professional, whether it's AU or any other professionals?
Do what makes you happy. I feel like as athletes, especially in college, you're kind of divided, right? You either know exactly what you want to do and, I'm going to come into college, I'm going to play, and then I'm going to go into the real world. Or you come in and you expect to have a long career in the professional world after your college career is over. And for multiple sports, that's very real. Like you look at baseball, you look at football, basketball, even the women's sports. It's hard for us because it's like, even if we do play professionally, we don't know how long. And so when you go into college, just do whatever makes you happy. And because that's the important part, is if you're doing something just because I'm really good and I don't know what else to do, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. You need to know exactly like, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to play because I love to play. And it's okay to also step away from the game. And I think as female athletes, especially when we do reach that top level, it's hard for us to walk away because we feel like we're somehow letting, people down. We're either letting ourselves down or we're letting kids down. And I think it's also important to know that it's okay, but you have to put yourself first. And so giving the opportunity to play pro is amazing, and to know that we have that opportunity. But I think it's important that we also tell women, and they're coming out of college, do whatever. You have the choice to do whatever you want to do. And as long as you're happy and you're healthy and you put 100% of whatever you want into whatever that is, you're going to be successful. And that's the biggest thing I can give to college athletes as they're coming through this process, because it gets a little scary. You're left with the, well, what now question. And as long as you follow your gut and what you feel, be okay.
What advice would you give the professional athletes that are playing now, that are obviously women playing, that are trying to strive to obviously make the game of softball better for these young athletes?
Just be transparent. I feel like as long as we're on with where we're at, and we know that we have so much farther to go in our sport, but we've also come so far, and being like, hey, I'm here, I made it. Like, soak that in. Be appreciative of where you're at, and it's okay. It's not cocky. It's not, self-centered or whatever, to soak in the moments. But then also realizing like, okay, now I'm here. What can I do for the next step and to help grow this thing? I think just as professional athletes in general, not even women, but we're always looking to evolve and to grow in the most positive and influential way possible. And so just being open-minded to whatever opportunities do come your way. It's just like with AU. At first, this was probably like, people are like, I don't know, it sounds like a crazy thing. And it took someone having just like major faith in all of us. And, we have some great supporters in AU. So this platform and what we're able to do here is truly amazing. And I can't wait to see the growth that comes through Athletes Unlimited.
That's wonderful. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram. It's just at Taran with 4 N's. And then I do have Twitter as well. It's the same handle with _14 at the end. I'm trying to dabble into the TikTok world. I'm not that cool yet, so I'm not there quite yet. But yeah, definitely Instagram and Twitter.
Thank you again, Taran, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in your professional softball career with Athletes Unlimited.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Taran, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you so much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.